I finally got to the vet's office at like 5:36. And they're like, it's okay, the vet is running behind a bit anyways. But I don't think I waited more than like 10 minutes or something. And it was the same guy as last time who really loves cats. He really loves them a lot. So he was super nice. And he was like, oh, they're doing so well. Like, they're very healthy. They got their second vaccines and then they got their microchips. And he was like, oh, you're doing microchip today? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh. And I was like, do they hate that? And he's like, well, it's, you know, he showed me, I was like, what is it, like an ear piercing or something? He's like, a bit worse. So he showed me the needle and it was a pretty big needle. He's like, but they'll be fine, but they won't like it. And I was like, oh, okay. So Gilgamesh went first. And he got his vaccine and he got some dreamies while he was doing it. And he didn't really like the vaccine. But it wasn't that bad. Yeah, I'm talking about you, little man. And then I just put him down on the ground because he wanted to explore and everything. And then it was Brian's turn. And I brought one of those like little cat go-gurts where it's like the wet cat food stuff inside of like a squeezy tube, because Brian really likes that stuff. I don't give it to him a lot. I just give it to him when I need him to be distracted, like when I trimmed his pants and his paws. Okay, he looks very cute on the desk. And I was like, oh, if he has this, he probably won't notice the vaccine at all, and he might not even notice the microchip. But the vet was like, I think he'll still notice it, but we can give it a try. Speaking of the vet, my dog has a therapy dog at ours. She helps my dog feel safe and comfy getting procedures done. It's so sweet and cute. Makes me feel lightheaded. How cute is that? That's really nice. But, so Brian got his vaccine while he was getting his, like, Churro Licky Lick, whatever it is. And he didn't care at all. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep squeezing this stuff out while he gets the chip. And the vet was like, okay, he's not gonna like it. Didn't even notice the microchip either. I think he moved like a tiny bit and stopped, like, licking the go-gurt. But then I like squeezed a bit more out and he was like, I do love go-gurt. So then he didn't care. And the vet was like, he really likes that stuff. And I was like, yeah, must have been the wind. Looking ass. Yeah, that's what he did. I'm gonna take a picture of this little man on here because he does look adorable. I will post it in the Discord. And so he didn't mind at all. And then I also scheduled for when they go get neutered. But the best part was while Brian was getting his exam, he was on the little table and a vet lady was walking past the window. And she, like, I saw her face in the window. And the vet guy was like, saw her out the window, so he started snuggling Brian and looking at her. And he was like, come in to her, basically. So she came in. Sir, you need a comfier spot than up against the keyboard. Here, I'll make you some more room. So she came in, and she was like, oh my god, he's so cute, looking at Brian. And Gilgamesh was like somewhere around the room because he was exploring. And I was like, there's another one in here. And she was like looking for him. And he was in the corner. And she's like, oh. And I was like, that's Gilgamesh and this is Brian. And I was like, his name's actually Magic Brian. But I was like, I already gave you guys the name Gilgamesh. So I thought I'll take it easy on you and just say Brian. She's like, add it to our notes. We need to know that he's Magic Brian. So I don't know if they did end up doing that. And then, so she went over to Gilgamesh and she was like holding her hand out to him so he could smell it. but he was in explore mode. And I was like, you can just pick him up. Like, he won't care. He doesn't mind at all. So she was like, oh. So she went and picked him up. And then she was snuggling him, and he was not even squirming or nothing. He was just chilling out. And then she was holding him, I think it was while Brian was getting the microchip. And the vet also clipped their nails for me too, which was really nice. And so then she was like, oh, I wish I could show... She was like talking to the vet guy, and she's like, oh, I wish Liv was in the hallway so I could show her. And I was like, you can take him wherever you want. You can go take him to her if you want. And she was like, okay. So she left the room with Gilgamesh. And then the vet was clipping Brian's nails. And so then I know I'm picking at mine because there's like some edges to them that have like I've got hangnails, so I just clipped them with the nail trimmer. But so she took him out into the hallway, and then the door opened again after Brian got his nails trimmed, and she came in and got him too. She came in and got Brian. And so then I was just talking to the vet for a moment, and he's like, look in the hallway. And so then he opened the hallway, and he stood in the hallway, and I stood in the doorway, and there was 4 women in the hallway in this like little corridor where they have all the like medicine and stuff like that. One lady was holding Gilgamesh, one lady was holding Brian, and then the 2 other ladies were just petting either one of the cats as well. And they were like cooing at them and telling them how cute they were and stuff. And they were telling me, they were like, oh, thank you so much for this. We really needed this at the end of this day. Like, this is like therapy. They're like, kittens just fix everything. And they're like, thank you so much. And so they were just holding them for a while, and it was really cute. And they were like, oh, when Brian grows up, he's gonna be so fluffy. And they were just talking about, because they were both being really good. Like, they were not trying to get down or anything. They were just like, yeah, this is fine. And it was funny because when I was talking to them, the vet guy, he's so super nice. Like, it's really nice. You can tell he, like, really likes cats and really cares about them a lot. Mufu, thanks for the 52 months. And so he's from another country, but I don't know where. And he told me the last time I was there that he has cats back home in his country with his family. And that, they're outdoor cats and all of this, and that they thought one of them went missing or something like that. But he's so nice. And so, I was talking to them, and I was like, oh yeah, like, Brian is so beautiful. I call him my little princess boy. And they were like, oh, he is a princess. He's so beautiful. And the vet guy, I think one of his cats back home is a black cat, because he really likes Gilgamesh a lot. And he kisses on both of them and everything, but he really likes Gilgamesh. And so they're like, oh, Brian is so beautiful. He's a little princess and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, you know, Brian is really beautiful and he is going to be very fluffy and everything. He goes, but Gilgamesh is going to be even more beautiful than him as he grows up. He's just going to be the most beautiful little black cat. And I was like, that's so sweet of him. It was really sweet. And then, what else did he say? It was so funny. So I also, while I was there, I asked him about ear mites, because they itch their ears sometimes, but not a lot. And so I was like, oh, I just want to check and make sure that their ears are pretty clean, like that there's no mites or anything. And so he looked and he's like, oh no, their ears are really clean, they're fine. And so when he was looking at Gilgamesh's ears first, and he looks in Gilgamesh's ears, and Brian, what is that? Oh, that's your leg. Right? Is that your leg? It is. And he was looking at he's looking in Gilgamesh's ear, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's really clean." And he goes, because Gilgamesh has those like bald spots on his head, and he was like, "Yeah, but he'll always be bald." And I was like, "Did you just roast my son? Did you just roast him?" And I was like, "Yeah, I call him my little bald man, my little greasy bald man." And he's like, "Yeah, he's got his bald." It was cute though, because it is true, he is a bald man. But he just said it like so bluntly. Yeah, he's like, his ears are really clean and everything looks really good. He goes, "But he will always be bald." Mr. Bald Man. What a bald baby.